Hey everybody, Mark Lookout here from Redline Conditioning, and today I want to go over the push portion of the push-pull machine since it gives a lot of people trouble, especially females, either due to lack of strength or lack of technique or a combination of both. So I want to be able to cover how to do it well, and what you got to look out for when performing the push. So first things first is setting yourself up on the machine. One of the things I notice a lot of people do on this one is they try to rush into the push. They try to rush the rotation. So before they even get the weight up, they're trying to start the rotation before they have any sense of control. So you want to make sure you have control over this thing first before you even start any kind of rotation. So how do you get control? There's a couple ways. And actually before I cover the couple ways, a few things to keep in mind that you're not allowed to do on this machine. One is you're not allowed to rest your chin over top of the handles. You're not allowed to rest your body up against the handles. You can't tuck your elbows in front either. And you're not allowed to keep your elbows locked out. So if you're up close, don't lean into the machine. If you're further out, don't lock elbows, keep it bent. And actually that kind of goes into two ways of how you can get this weight up. So you can either be up close like so, or you can be further out like so. Whichever method you do choose, you want to make sure you're aggressive when you get this weight up. So whether I'm here or whether I'm here, I don't want just to rely on body weight to get the weight stack up. That's just too slow. Even if I'm leaning into it from here, I don't get it high enough. And it's, like I said, it's just too slow getting the weight up. You want to be aggressive with this thing. Use your legs. Drive it right in. Use whatever strength you do have to get that weight right up. And then, once you have it up, and the weight, the handle is all the way in, you know you got control over this thing, and you give yourself a little more leeway if the handles start pushing back against you. So be aggressive with this thing. Don't hold anything back. The other thing is when you're setting yourself up, again, whether I'm up close or whether I'm further back, is I want to be on my toes. So once I'm on my toes, I can use better leverage to keep the weight up. I don't have to just rely on upper body strength and arms to keep the weight up. I can get my legs involved and use more total body strength to keep it up. So whether I'm here or whether I'm here, you want to be on the toes in both positions, not flat on your feet or heels just slightly off the ground. If heels are just slightly off the ground, this thing is pushing you right back. So why would you want to do one method over the other? Why would you want to be up close versus being further back? Now before I go into that one, I just want to clarify that some testers, or depending what testing site you're going to and what the tester is looking for, you may want to clarify what they're looking for. Some people or some testers are a little bit more particular in terms of form and technique. Others may be a little bit more lax. So if you know what the tester is expecting, you can practice accordingly for the push portion on the machine itself. Okay. So going back to which method to use. Do you want to be up close or do you want to be further back? It really depends. Each has their own pros and cons. If I'm going to be up close, the pro to this one is that as I'm doing my rotation, I'm going to be creating a shorter arc as I go across versus being out here versus a much bigger arc. So instead of feet being here versus feet out here, if I'm closer in, there's less distance for me to travel to get from one side to the other. So if I gotta be out here, there's more distance to travel. Obviously, having less distance to travel means less time to get from one side to the other. So that's the pro of being in close. It is faster to get across. Now the con of being up close is it does require a little bit more energy and strength. But part of it too is technique. So I would highly suggest, as much as possible, learn to be in close to the machine, again, without resting the chin on the handles. and without leaning your body into it. I recommend being as close as possible to it, just so you can save yourself some time. In terms of elbow position, when you're in close, even though you can't put your elbows in front of your body like so, still keep it tight to your body. Keep it tight, don't flare it out. So it's tight here, it gives you better control, better stability as you perform your rotation. So again, the pro to being up close is that the faster time, it's a faster time as you complete one rotation. The con requires a little bit more strength, a little bit more practice in getting used to. So being further out, the pro for this one is you got more control, and you can use a little bit more leverage to keep the weight up since you can get really onto your toes. But the con against this one is it takes you a little bit longer. So really depending on what your conditioning levels are like and how you're feeling after running your obstacle course, how you're feeling getting into this machine can play a factor in which method that you do choose. But I do highly recommend being up close as much as possible. Now, in terms of getting across, can you shuffle? Can you cross over? Really depends which test you're doing, and it may even depend what tester is administering the test. So if you're doing the PARE test, for the most part, they don't care how you get across as long as you get across. So you can cross your feet to get from one side to the other, or you can shuffle. I find 9 times out of 10, people will end up crossing their feet as it's faster and there's more control to the movement versus shuffling. Shuffling requires more control, more strength, and is a little bit more awkward compared to the crossover. But if you're doing the POPAT test, generally you have no choice but to do the shuffle only. Again, clarify, see what you are allowed to do, but in my experience, and I'm out here in BC, you're usually only allowed to shuffle your feet. Elsewhere, they may allow the crossover, but again, you want to get some clarification on that one. Okay, so right now I just want to show you the time difference between doing a shuffle and versus doing a crossover for the push here. Now this is more so for people during the PARE test, but like I mentioned earlier, if you're allowed to cross if you're allowed to cross over for the POPAT, I highly recommend it since time is of the essence, really. So I'm going to demonstrate the shuffle first, for rotations only, and I'm going to go as fast as I can, and I'm going to show you crossover. So, set my watch up here. So that took me about 13.5 seconds to complete for the shuffle. So I'll demonstrate the push here, the crossover. Set my watch up. And that took me about, just under 12 seconds. So for 4 rotations, that was about a 1 second difference. May not be much, but remember, this was 4 rotations. If I did 6 rotations, I could be pushing a 2 second difference between the two of them. And if you're on the cusp of passing or failing, that can make the difference in the world. So like I said, if you can cross your feet as you're doing the shuffle, cross your feet. If you can cross your feet while doing the push, cross your feet. But if you got no choice with the shuffle, then you just gotta stick with it. So if you have any questions about the push-pull machine or just training in general when it comes to the PARE test or POPAT test, you can always just give me an email at redline.conditioning@gmail.com, and I always do my best in answering emails and inquiries as soon as I can, or you can even just drop a comment below in the video. But anyway, for all you applicants out there, good luck in your application process.